It's Lutheran here, October 17th. This is our first adult forum Sunday conversation, and we have Shai and Maya from the Hope Restores, which is an organization that was founded earlier this year, I think. So it's been less than a year to help the black families in the La Crosse area. So without further ado, I'm going to let them introduce themselves more and listen to what they have to say.
Oh, hello. Mic check. Hello. Hi, you guys. I am Tashira. I go by Shai. It's a lot easier if you ever read it. You won't hesitate to say hi when there's 3 letters. But I am one of the co-founders and then the director over operations at Hope Restores, which is a resource center for African Americans here on the north side of town.
Hi, I'm Shemaya Curtis. Friends and family call me Maya. I'm the executive director of development at Hope Restores and a co-founder as well.
So Glenn was absolutely right. So we actually had started the building blocks of Hope Restores, I would say, at probably about the end of November of 2020. And then just with everything going on, all the social unrest, Hope Restores really came into, I'd say, full swing probably about February. And so it really was a response to everything that was going on in the community, just all of the hurt. And it was really our call to action to need to do something. There were times that I would be, does everyone know what I'm talking about when I talk about the social unrest? Okay, so there would be times that I would be driving down the street and I would literally have to pull over just to cry. The things that happened throughout the states, end of 2020 into 21, that's something that as Black people, we all felt together. And so I was needing to call my brothers just to check their temperature to see how they're doing. I was getting calls from friends that I haven't spoken to in so long just to say, hey, how you doing? How you handling things? Because it's something as a Black community that we all felt together. There was some of us that needed to seek out counseling and we needed to seek out therapy. And for a lot of the Black community, therapy and counseling is something that really wasn't what we did as Black people. Like a lot of us typically weren't very, therapy
It's a stigma,
just, yeah, it was really kind of a stigma, you know, and so it kind of stemmed from, well, like my parents would say, like, well, you can't go and talk to somebody, you know, about your problems because they're just going to make them worse, or they're going to give you more problems or add on to them, or it's going to be turned into something greater than what it is. So just as a family, and for so many Black people that, you know, we know, therapy is not something that they did. And so when all of the social unrest came about, it was very difficult to deal and to cope with. And so driving down the street, I would have just this emotional attack, or my heart would just swell up and I would just be so angry, and it just seemed like the rest of the world was carrying on like nothing had happened, or at least those in my close proximity that were not Black did not seem to be as affected. And so for us to reach out and check the temperature on one another, it was so necessary. And it was so very needed just to make sure that the other one was okay. And so we realized that we needed to do more than just check on our family and check on the people that we know. And so once we opened the doors to Hope Restores in February, it kind of opened the floodgates. There was a lot of hurt and pain, and missed opportunities to heal that really kind of came about. And so we started to see a lot of that. And so as the doors opened, we started to build the programs within Hope Restores and just kind of went from there.
Yeah. I say that we really listened to our community around us. Our youth, the Black student leaders, were out protesting, screaming at their top of their lungs about injustice, screaming the names of people who were killed. And it was our youth, too, that just kind of got us up and got us moving, is because they said this is enough. And when you see your youth fighting and you're not fighting, you know that there's something wrong with that situation. And we had our African American community just saying that they're tired, they're traumatized, and they feel like they don't stand a chance. And in here in La Crosse, most of them are very isolated, just here living day by day, but not functioning, not being involved, not joining into anything, just kind of just flowing along, not even being seen sometimes. And I thought that was really sad. Then we had our allies, and our allies said, hey, we hear you. We're seeing your pain. We don't like what we are seeing. What can we do? And that's when Hope Restores just kind of was like, we have to do this. It was a calling. It was a crazy calling, right? Because we both looked at each other and said, no, this is not what we were planning to do. But we became very obedient, and we knew that this is what we were supposed to do. Every day we have to check with each other, check each other's temperature and say, what are we doing and how are we going to afford to do this? And we know that there's a plan for us and there's a higher power that put us into place, even though we were not planning on being there, and told us just to move. And we've been moving, and we've been creating programs off of the need for the community. So it's been program after program created, and it's been just awesome. And every time we just look back and be like, what did we do? How did this happen?
Or what's wrong with us?
What's wrong? We realize,
That's been said too.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. There's potential here in La Crosse. There is this need for equality for all, and it can happen here. And it starts with all of us. It starts with us doing as we're supposed to do, and it's loving thy neighbor. And when you love thy neighbor, you love them, you look out for them, and you make sure they're okay. So it's like, I'm not okay if you're not okay. And that's kind of where we started off at. It's like, where can we start supporting our community? So that's pretty much how Hope Restores began. We are located at 231 Copeland Avenue. It's a resource center. It is a safe place for people to come, walk through that door, and ask for help. And I'll be honest with you, most people who walk through that door are like putty. They are just looking for somebody to talk to, somebody to hear their voice. And it's been starting with us. We're doing a lot of amazing work. Our youth, they work with us at Hope Restores. They have tons of great ideas. They are very feisty, and they don't want to hear that we're going to keep putting racism off to the next day. They want something done with it, about it now. And that's something that we talk about. It's like, we don't have time to just keep saying that we're going to have another meeting or we're going to talk about it later. This is a problem that's causing us harm now. When COVID hit, what do? We stayed 6 feet away. We put our mask up, right? We stayed home. We made new protocols for work and everywhere. Racism is causing illness. It is causing trauma, and it is killing people. And so we have to deal with it now. And that's what we're talking about. And that's what we're doing at Hope Restores. We are helping our allies and helping our community to see what's going on. And let's working on making a difference, doing something about it right now, today. So, yeah.
So we've done quite a few different presentations where we've come out, we've talked to the community on different things. But the reality of it all comes down to is that you have to first make the decision to want to do something about it. And that might show up in different capacities. I think that we all have natural gifts. Some of us are aware of what those gifts are. Some of us are just like, I don't like writing, so if it is my gift, I'm not going to obey it. But this is what I'm willing to do. So it's whatever, you're willing and comfortable with doing. Show up with that skill, show up with that gift, come with what you have, and just, it's through faith that you just know that what you're missing, either God's going to complete it or your neighbor next to you is going to meet the difference. And so that's a lot of what we do. I mean, through a lot of the conversations and the talks that we've done, there's been times where, oh man, we would be so busy with meeting after meeting, presentation after presentation, and this is while, we're running on a shoestring to no budget at all, and it's, those were the times that we would go, what are we doing? Like, we're absolutely mad for this, like, what's going on? But it's staying obedient and staying in that faith. We have faith that the La Crosse community can be a more united place, and that's something that we're not willing to be swayed from, because we know that they can do it. And one of the things that, I say, even through going through a lot of the uncertainties, a lot of, are they responding? Are the people in La Crosse happy with what's going on? Do they hear our cries? One of the things that I always say is that you have to continue to walk by faith. And so I like to think of faith as a GPS for when you get lost or get off track. It's that faith that points you in the right direction again, if you just stay on that GPS with your faith. So some of the programs that we do at Hope Restores is we do diversity trainings. So Maya talked about there are allies in the community that want to know what they can do. They want to know how they can serve. And so we go out and we do these diversity trainings, and it might be just a win for them to know, hey, don't say this anymore. For example, when you want to connect with somebody or find common ground with somebody, whether it's a Black person or anyone, don't start by saying, I don't see color, because you can't fully accept me by first denying who I am. And so it's not a bad thing to see color. And so that was one of the really common ones that we heard a lot, that we really needed to bring attention to, because a lot of times when it was said, it wasn't to be hurtful and it wasn't to be mean, but for some reason, we're all afraid of this thing called race. We're all afraid of letting it be known that I see that you don't have as much melanin that I have, and it's okay, like, talk about that. The other one was, little kids, they're so curious. They say whatever pops in their head. I mean, whatever pops in their head, So, when your kid says something like, why are they darker than me? You don't have to shush them. Talk about it, talk about it. I've had kids ask, why are your gums different color? Or your teeth, like, why are they different, Because we're different colors, And so it's just talking about it and welcoming that conversation, because it's not taboo to be different. It's really beautiful, and to just embrace that side of it. And so those are some of the really simple, like, foundational things that we talk about when we go out and we do these diversity trainings. And so even if it's just one or two of those bases that you take from that diversity training, well, that's a win. But, there are some that want to do a little bit more, that have the capacity to really get out there and act, or they're hungry, to do something more, but they don't exactly know where to start. Either that, or they don't know if they have the right to start. They don't feel empowered to do a movement for a community that they don't necessarily readily identify with. And so it's been a lot of just empowering people. If you love people, you have the power. You are absolutely in the right to go out and start fighting that, and just connecting with people. And so the diversity trainings have gone really well. Some of the other things that we do is we do support groups. So we have a support group for men, and that's called Brothers Battling Barriers, because barriers show up in so many different ways. It's not always a housing situation or a drug situation or a violent situation. There's so many different barriers that present for Black men, and Black men are one of the groups that so often get ignored and denied, And so it's been just pouring back into them, because if we want them to pour into their families, if we want them to pour into their children and show them how to be strong men, we have to pour back into them, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And so there's been a lot of healing that's been coming from Brothers Battling Barriers, giving them a safe place to come and talk, to lay down those burdens, even if it is only for a couple hours. Man, it really does offer just a ton of relief to be able to lay those barriers down and sit and talk and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. How are you doing? How are you? And so that's been really huge. We had so many men that came up to us and thanked us. We don't teach the groups. Shemaya wanted to be sitting on the group because she finds it so interesting. The men's support group is something that she is very passionate about, and we were very strategic when writing that program. And the men that we enlisted to help us build that program for Brothers Battling Barriers. But we don't sit in there, but we had a lot of men that would come up to us and just thank us for even occupying a space for them to come together and putting it all together for them to come and talk and lay those down and build from there and just kind of rest. Because you can't grow, you can't create from a place of fear and from a place of flight mode. You can really only do that when you're at peace. And so giving them a place to be at peace was something that was really very huge for them. And then our other support group that we do is the Women of Melanin group. And that group really focuses on healing, 360. We have women that are taking care of their kids, getting them to school, never taking time for themselves, whether that is focusing on their mental health with the help of an outside person, or it's just knowing how to meditate and how to sit in the quiet and just be okay with that and not feel guilty with not running around or having a million things on our plates. A lot of times as moms, we forget to do that. And then, for those of us that aren't moms, a lot of the women, they don't know how to truly love themselves in a way that mean it. They haven't, talked about what it means to get all the comfort that you need for you without sacrificing who you are and without jeopardizing what it means to be strong in your own right. And so we do a lot of work with that. We do a lot of work with talking about school, talking about healing. We show them different ways to heal. We give them different coping mechanisms. We do outings to get them away, because one of the programs that we do there is we do offer childcare. So we provide childcare for both of the groups, for both of the support groups, because for the women, we have to take our kids everywhere, and we don't get to just, leave them. And so we tell the men, if you have kids, you bring them with you, give mom a break at home. Bring those kids in with you. So they bring their kids in with them. We have childcare all set up for the kids. There's a nice warm meal that's prepared. And so for, that one night, mom doesn't have to worry about cooking food. She gets a few hours up to herself to be at home or to run errands or whatever it is that she wants to do. And then dad gets that satisfaction of knowing, hey, I did it without any help. I didn't have to call her to bail me out on this one. And so it was very empowering for the men to know that they could take care of themselves and take care of their kids all at the same time, that they can make healthy and conscious decisions for them that would promote everything that they're doing, and they can continue to grow and build.
Yeah.
So you want to take the other program?
Yeah. Just to piggyback, I talked to you guys about the Women of Melanin and Brothers Battling Barriers. Those support groups are awesome. Our women are just so excited. In our outings, we did a women's retreat, no kids, and the women just had an amazing time. They actually stayed 2 days. It's very hard to get a mom to commit to staying 2 days without their kids. But everybody just needed that break. They needed that time for themselves. In order to be out here fighting that battle, you got to take care of yourself. And we're constantly telling our moms to make sure they're putting their mask on first before they put their kids' mask on. And something hard for moms to do, just you got to take care of yourself. So yeah, there's an amazing group. The ladies are amazing. Our other programs is our transportation program. Transportation is a huge barrier for people, especially in this area. Our buses kind of run funny. The taxis are expensive, and our Ubers just are not very reliable. Transportation is also expensive as well. So we transport people to doctor's appointments, grocery stores, therapy appointments, pretty much wherever they need to go. We actually took somebody to mail last week to Rochester. They had an appointment and they needed to get there. We try our best to meet the needs as well, much as we can. Right now, we're having some issues with our van, and we're going to try to get that together. But and then sometimes it's just like the staffing or the gas. But we have had people volunteer. If you ever want to volunteer to give rides, we can connect you with somebody that needs a ride around town. Those simple things like getting to the grocery store are huge. We have quick trips everywhere, but they're not very affordable. And there's a lot of food desert areas here in La Crosse where you just can't get to a nice, affordable grocery store. So our transportation program kind of knocks that barrier down. Another barrier we have is childcare. And it's really hard to find childcare while you're searching for work, So it's like, how do I go look for a job? And I have nobody to watch the kids. And then you're talking about a group of people who are very isolated, so may not have a neighbor yet that they met, or, a family member to help watch their kids while they try to go knock down some barriers and better themselves. So we do a drop-in childcare, and it's for 2 hours a day. We just ask them to give us a call. They bring their kids, and we watch their kids while they go and knock down barriers. I mean, it could be, hey, I don't have anybody to watch my kid while I go to class real quick, and that we're there to support them. A lot of people come to just go do some job searching or go to job interviews, or maybe they actually go to a therapy appointment, because it's really hard to bring your kids to a therapy appointment. So, I mean, people really are appreciating this program. It just really helps support the family, Another program we have is our giving cabinet. Toiletries are huge. People are always needing, whether it's diapers or lotion or tissue or paper towel or dish soap. It's a huge need. So we allow people to come and they can go in the pantry and get the things that they need. We just have so many smiles on people's faces, because it's like they just needed those things but didn't know where to go, or they didn't want to ask, and it's just like, I just need some dish soap and I need some tissue. And it's when they go, nobody's judging them. They just sign in and they go get the things that they need. Nobody's counting what they have. This cabinet, I don't understand how it just keeps getting full, but it does, and we don't have to monitor people. It's like the blessings just keep pouring in, and it's amazing, because it's hard to go ask for help, And when you get somewhere, it's like, I may need more than 2 rolls of tissue because I have 6 kids, And so it's like, get what you need, and just it keeps on getting filled, and we've been able to service people. So yeah, if anybody ever wants to do a toiletry drive here, let us know. We're always looking for toiletry drives. And then what else did I forget anything? We do a lot of other stuff. So we do a new, the Bridging the Gap. So the Bridging the Gap is one of our main programs. What that is that we use a cultural approach to support our clients, to connect them to different organizations here in La Crosse. And so we hold their hand, we walk through the process with them, we make sure somebody's servicing them, and then we follow back up with the service to make sure that they got the help that they needed. We have connected with a lot of great services. We've built relationships, and when our clients come, our clients are treated correctly. We also do a survey, and we find out what organizations are not servicing the community the correct way. And when we find that out, we talk to the organizations like, hey, this is what we're hearing. And we give them a chance to fix it. It could be like they just have somebody at the desk who's wore out and that just needs a break, or maybe just needs to be replaced, that they don't have their fire anymore. They're just kind of like, how can I help you type, just very dry and don't like what they're doing. They lost their passion. And maybe they just need their passion, their fire to be reburnt, but they need somebody to say, hey, this isn't how you treat people. When you're in the helping field, people are coming and they're very vulnerable and they just need help. And so we kind of follow back with our clients and organizations just to make sure that they're being treated correctly.
I do want to say we have had a lot of different organizations that have used our bridging services in a different way also. They've used it in a way that's benefited their organization. And so we had La Crosse Chamber send us over some different flyers that they were thinking about circulating throughout the community. And they were wondering if we could just, take a look at it to make sure that the language didn't read offensive or that it was inclusive, which I thought, that was very considerate, And so those are the small ways that even being connected with a resource center like this could benefit the community. Some of the other ways that the bridging service has worked out really well is that we have a lot of organizations that recognize that they are underserving the Black community. And so, they've had questions like, hey, what are we doing wrong? Or what's the problem? Is there a different way that we need to reach them? Is there a different site that we need to use? Do we need to post it somewhere else so that we can make sure that it's being seen? And so that's been really great too, to help them increase, the members of the African American community that they've been able to serve. And so it's worked out really well that way too.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. We get all types of not crazy calls, we get all types of calls and just people asking questions, different organizations saying, hey, I have this client, I don't feel like they are relating with me and like we just seem like there's a gap there. Can you support us? And we're doing a lot of that. So twice a month, the first Friday of each month at 8:30 in the morning, we do something called Coffee with Hope Restores. And then we do it on Zoom on the third Friday of the month at 8:30 in the morning. If you're ever interested, let us know. We can email you the link or you can stop by. At that time, we have people, organizations come by and we tell them, give them updates about Hope Restores, what we're hearing going on in the African American community. Organizations give us information about what's going on with the organization. People just come to listen and just talk. And then we have questions and Q&A and we just talk, And it just is kind of knocking down that barrier of lack of communication, And it allows us to talk with different people and allows people to ask us questions and we can support them in any way possible. And it's about relationship building, Some people just come and have some coffee and just kind of listen to what's going on. And I mean, it's a time that anybody is welcome and anybody can join us on a Zoom link, And I feel like it's one of those first steps it's how to work together, how to communicate with each other. And so we do that, like I said, the first Friday and the third Friday of each month. We do some community liaison. We have community liaisons, and they go out in the community and they support families and youth, and just kind of things like helping the kids get to school, helping the family members if they're just, struggling with the kids getting to school. If they are having issues with paying their rent, we connect them to programs. If they're having issues with just, maybe they need therapy or looking for a job or a driver's license. You guys, you don't know how many clients we get through the door that they don't have identification. They don't have Social Security cards, birth certificates, or IDs. So that winds up taking us all the way back. But those are the barriers that we're seeing. We are taking people to go get Social Security cards, birth certificates, and IDs. It is really hard when they're not from Wisconsin to get them a birth certificate. It's very, very hard. But we sit there and tackle that with them. Why? Because they can't get to the next step. They're stuck. And there's a lot of people, without the help of somebody else, they just stay stuck. They live their life 10, 15 years because they don't have their birth certificate, Social Security card, and they just have been like that because they didn't think they could get it. I think of this one guy, he came to us and we helped him pay some tickets to get his license. So then he got his Social Security card, he needed that, he got his birth certificate, he got his license, he's got a job, his smile is huge. Our barrier, we're looking for him a place, but I mean, he was living years and years without those things and just felt like there's nothing more. I just think about his smile, like he's just so proud to have his ID. He has us holding on to his birth certificate because unfortunately he doesn't have housing, so he doesn't know where he's gonna stay and he wants to keep it safe. And we hold those things for our clients. I mean, we go outside our box for our clients. It's because it's important. You have to have somebody in this world backing you up. And I always look at Shai when I talk about him is because he just glows. And he's very proud. And I think that he feels like a man again, that he can get out here. He's got a job and he's just hopping around and, very happy. And we have a lot of success stories like that. They're small, but they mean so much to that person, And I shouldn't have said small because they're not small. They're huge. They're huge accomplishments for those people. that are going through what they were going through. And so our community liaison position, we're always helping people out to get the things that they need. We advocate, so if you have some issues at school or your landlord or a job, I mean, we come through the door with numbers and we say, hey, we're here, and that's how you treat people. And, so we do a lot of that too. And the main thing we do is we are always there to talk to people. When people walk in the door, sometimes they just need somebody to talk to. We have been lucky to have a therapist over Zoom now, so we're able to offer therapy to people as well. We hope to get a couple more therapists, maybe actually in the building. That's a big dream that's going to happen, and so we're doing that as well. Anything else I may have skipped?
No, I think that's it. I think one of the most powerful images that I had seen or I was able to be a part of is I came into right at the end of the men's group, and to see a conference table of men sitting around crying together, really crying together. It was so powerful, and it was so confirming, and there was no doubt in my mind that this was not what we were supposed to be doing. So I say that to say healing is happening at Hope Restores, but they have to have a place that gives them that hope first in order to be able to do it. And so it is so great, the things that we're able to do there. And if you guys are ever interested in partnering up in any way, please reach out, and we will certainly figure out a way that we can link up, whether it's on a project or it's on a drive or just whatever. I don't know what you guys have going on in your day-to-day, but we would certainly love the partnership. So anything that you guys are interested in doing, if you're interested in doing some work with Hope Restores within the Black community, please let me know. One of the things that we always say is, actually, does anybody in here, does anyone have pets or has had a pets? So one of the things that that's said a lot in the Black community is we need people to start caring the way they care about their pets. The way they love their dogs. They need to love or be at least concerned about what happens to us. Because when we're getting killed and when we're being mistreated all the time, to show up day after day and not know what you're walking into, and you don't have an ally, it makes a huge difference. And so one of the things we say is love like you love your dog. You don't have to be on the front lines, but you do have to care. So racism isn't something that we can agree to disagree about, because it's not okay. And if you have any type of heart for the Lord, this is your fight. This is your fight, period. So you have to actively make the decision to care about the fight that we're fighting in, because equality is real. And it's not something that we all have, but it is something that we all deserve. And so if anybody has any questions or interested in getting involved or being a part of it, I would really welcome it. And you don't have to speak up now. Think on it, meditate on it, let it sit in your heart. What is it that you feel like you're able to do? What is it that you feel like you're called to do? And if you think that this isn't something that you struggle with, I want you to think about if you've ever walked by a Black person and you've gotten nervous, if you've ever needed to have a conversation and you've gotten kind of weird about it, or if you've ever been walking by someone and you walk up just a little bit faster. It's your fight. It's a conversation that you need to have. And there's an opportunity right here in town for you guys to be a part of that.
Yeah, we always say, be okay with being uncomfortable. Racism is a conversation that is going to make you uncomfortable, especially when you realize that you have been living You have been living in this world and done nothing about it, you know? Like, everybody can be like, well, I'm not the Klan, and I don't scream things, and I don't treat people bad, and I treat everybody good. But are you doing something about people who are not treating people good? Are you standing up? Are you saying something? And it starts with that. It's just saying something like, hey, that's not how we treat other people. You know, that it's not correct, and I won't be doing that. We talk about going into your homes. I mean, this can get really deep. In our last presentation here at your church, we had some people share, and they were open, and I appreciate them. They shared their racist experiences in their own home and the things that they've seen, whether it was one lady said that her family would call these little dessert balls the in balls, you know? So it started there, or their uncles or their grandpas would sit at the table and make racist jokes, you know? And we talked about how that affects your kids, you know? And we talked about, like, why nobody ever stood up and said, hey, that's not correct. Well, most of us know why nobody stood up and said that's not correct. It's because we were taught just to not pick with things, you know, just leave it alone. It's not going to hurt anybody, but it does. It hurts somebody. It hurts us. While your uncle is sitting at the table, and it's just an example, if you have a racist uncle that sits at the table and he makes racist jokes on Thanksgiving or a holiday, look at the youth that are sitting at that table. And even though you may say, oh, stop it, that's not funny, the youth heard that joke. And the youth is going to go out into this world and repeat that joke. And he's going to feel that it's okay because nobody said you need to leave my house or that you won't speak like that around my children, you know? Nobody made a big deal. It was just a little wave and said, oh, stop it, you know? We know, stop it. That doesn't stop much of anything. And so what we're telling you guys is that you got to go back into your own households and you got to sit and think about, you know, where did this start? You know, what haven't I been doing and what can I do now? We don't got to talk about the past much. What can I do now? And what I tell you guys, just get involved, you know, educate yourself, go online, go to presentations, come to Hope Restores, join in this community, join at your schools, you know, and see what you can do to help fight against racism, you know. Everybody deserves equality. We should all be able to live in this world and enjoy the milk and honey that's provided for us. And when you know that somebody else isn't able to, then it's time for you to stand up and do something about it. Like I said, at Hope Restores, we are always there to answer questions. So if you want to know ways that you can get involved, you know, come on our website, check us out, stop in at Hope Restores, make a phone call, and just say exactly that. I want to do something about it. I don't want to just sit in presentations. I want to actually be hands-on and help. And we'll find some things for you to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes for questions, so anybody would like a question, and I would ask you to, when you hear the question, please repeat it, because otherwise we're not going to be able to get it on
Okay.
live stream.
Can you tell us how you came up with the name?
Yeah, so we came up with Hope Restores because it's really hard to move forward and to grow from anything unless you know that there is even a seed of hope there. And so we know that by planting those seeds of hope, it can be restored. And so it was about planting seeds and watching the fruit from that grow. And so whether it's restoring healing or it's restoring faith within the community, we just started planting those seeds of hope and watched it go to work. Thank you.
Question, how are you supported?
So how are we supported?
Paying your rent and so forth. How do you do that?
Yep. So one of the way that we are supported is through small donations, through our own personal financial backing that we've put into it, and through grants. We've gone out and we have done different presentations and things like that, which will help to go to the proceeds, but it's all really through grants that we go for and through small donations. So,
for example, are you involved
No, we are not. Did you talk, you spoke to someone? Didn't you?
Yeah, so we have not connected with, we've talked to them, but we haven't wrote for one of their grants yet, but we will in the future.
Are you connected with the United Way? Do you want a business card?
We support it,
Okay.
and it's, well, United Way, what do those two words mean?
Yeah. So one of the things that we had noticed when we were first getting on was that a lot of the grants and things that are here, some of these older ones, they already kind of have their endowments that go to the same places. And so it was really hard breaking into some of those. And so when I say that we have written for a lot of grants, we have literally written for a lot of grants. I am up until 2 a.m. sometimes, go to sleep, and I'm back up at 6 a.m. just to complete it and get it done and get it out there. And so some of those the other grants that are not so much saturated in this area, we have had a lot of luck with. We have gotten a grant from the La Crosse Community Foundation, and then there is the ARPA grant that is going on right now. So we've written in for that one, along with a lot of really other smaller ones. The Women's Fund is a smaller one that we had gotten, but yeah, we've written in for a lot of grants. So. Yeah, but United Way is not one. So we will certainly look into it. I'd love to give you guys a story that went, hey, Jeff, United Way gave us a grant.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Can I grab that? Thank you. So I also, for those of you who don't know, through our ministry council, we very strongly are supporting Hope Restores. We did provide, we got a grant through our memorial fund here to provide a significant amount to the organization and to become actually partners with them in the community. And so we also got a request at one point for some assistance with some rent money. We were able to help out with that through our communion fund, which everyone gives to. So we, as a ministry council and as a staff and as a congregation, are absolutely committed to continuing to support Hope Restores as a partner with us. So I just wanted, in case you didn't know that, to let you know.
That's awesome. And actually, the young man that you guys had assisted with rent, he was able to get out of an extremely toxic situation. He has his own place, and he has now also gotten a very well-paying job,
Yes.
and he is doing fantastic and thriving. So I do want to share that with you. So thank you. In the back. No, she asked if the diversity trainings were free that we do at Hope Restores. They are not free, just because it all does go back into the operation and keeping the building and the programs up and going. So it is not free. We have done different options on the diversity training. Typically when we do the diversity training, we don't like to talk at you. It's really about getting you to kind of do that teach back to us. So this is what I learned, this is what I retained, and so my understanding from sitting in on this training is this. And so once we know that you get it, we really feel like you're the most comfortable with going out there and even talking to your neighbor or talking to, someone in your family about it. And so there's different levels of depth that we do with the diversity training. And so one of them is where we do the teach back and we do it together. The other one is we will do kind of a broken up group discussion. So we do the training and then we put people into groups. If it's on Zoom, you go into a chat room together, and then we come back to the center and we pull back some of the big questions or the ahas that stood out in that chat group. But really within those groups, you guys are doing the work. It's a space for you to really talk about and go through some of the different things that you've encountered in your different experiences, and then you come back to us with it and we kind of share it with everybody so everyone can kind of benefit from some of those aha moments, just in case the same aha wasn't had within their group discussion. So Thank you.
We appreciate your time today, and I'm guessing you'd be available for more questions out in the narthex afterwards for anybody that. But this we got to end. Get on to other things because we've got church services within a few minutes here in the sanctuary. Again, thank you for your
Thank you
time.
guys so much.
Thank you guys for your time. Thank you.